皆様お待たせをいたしました。それではこれからのお時間はパネルディスカッション、世界のヤングリーダーの夢 SDGs を始めてまいります。ではご登壇の皆様方ご紹介をいたします。慶應義塾大学大学院政策メディア研究科教授蟹江典親様でございます。そして本日リモートでご登壇をいただきますお三方ご紹介いたします。テスパックコーファウンダー&CEO 刈田セッパ様、そしてZ ノーツファウンダー&CEO ズベイル・ジュンジュニア様、さらにセルフィー・エム・バリタ NGO ファウンダー&プレジデントアミネスト・バイラール様でございます。そして本パネルディスカッションのモデレーターはワールドロードインク CEO コーファウンダー、書籍 We Have a Dream 筆頭共同編者市川太一様にお願いをいたします。それでは市川様、ここからの進行どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
皆様はじめまして、市川太一と申します。今日は英語でのセッションになりますので、途中から英語に切り替わりますが、今日なぜここにセッションをやっているのかだったり、その前のストーリーだったりをちょっと私の方から先にご説明させていただきます。So now we're starting this session in English. So again, 私スライドいいですか？So just a quick story about me and then why we are here. So my dream is building the world into a single school. So I'm from company called World Road, and we run the educational program to all over Japan and also the worldwide. So again, yes, that's me. And so we are doing this session with three great panelists from three different countries. And then the one common thing between us is that we attended one same summit called One Young World. So One Young World is a global forum that young leaders from all around the world, literally more than 190 countries gathered together. And then we discuss about the action that we can make to create a better world. And not only the discussion, we create action inside the summit. So all of us represent our own country and then attended the summit there. And personally, I attended when I was in university. So I met brilliant dreamers and then sustainable leaders from all around the world. And then especially I met some of the very, very important for my life. So that was Yeonmi Park. She actually represented North Korea. So she escaped from her country, and then her story was really, really shocking. And then me personally as well, I'm very literally left me in shock. And since then, not only me, many people are inspired by her speech. And then her story actually spread really, really widely on the social media. And then she also wrote a book about her story, how and why she wanted to escape from North Korea. Then many people were inspired, and then people started taking action to save those in North Korea. So since then, I really started believing in the power of a story. So after years, after I attended this One Young World Summit, I came up with one thing. What if I gather inspirational stories from all around the world and then make one book together? When I posted, it's like I think it's 2 years ago, and people really loved it. I started from this post, literally it started from just 20 likes or something. But after that, people loved it and then spread it all around the world. Then at the end, I think I got more than 800 applications. 800 stories from all around the world. And then they are all great stories. Then it became a book. And that's the book that was mentioned in the beginning. It's a book that gathered 201 dreams from 201 countries. And then it's titled, We Have a Dream. And so today we're having the 3 dreamers from this book. And then they are the entrepreneur, social entrepreneur, as well as the activist. So today's session is about the dreamer from young world and also the different countries. And it's not actually, this movement is not only about the young people, but also the current leaders as well. We got the endorsement from the former Prime Minister of Ireland, like Mary Robinson. And not only that, in Japan, we have a song. And the great singer called Ai-san, she made a song for us, and it's also the name is also the We Have a Dream. Then the movement is like unstoppable right now. Now we are turning this book into a documentary, and then we are broadcasting that documentary at the Discovery Channel. So, and it's coming on this December. So if you can watch, please go. And so we're mainly focus on the action and also why they started their action. So in this book, we described the SDGs as a summit of the mountain climbing. When you climb the mountain, you try to go to the summit, right? In this book, we define dream as a scenery after you reach the summit, because as the SDGs says, it's a goal. After the goal, the dream describes the world that we really wish to live in. So of course, we talk about SDGs today, but also we talk about the dream beyond the 2030. Since after the 800 application, I found that the dream beyond the 2030, it creates the natural action. And also, it's the most important things. So we will talk about that. So that's the quick story about me. And then the movement is really spreading all over the world right now. And then we are having 3 wonderful guests from the book. Thank you so much. So I pass it to Kanye-san.
Thank you. Thank you for your introduction. My name is Norishika Kanye. I'm a professor at Keio University here in Japan. I was in the US until this August for about a year, spending my sabbatical. But during that period of time, I've been working on, and I'm still working on, the Global Sustainable Development Report, which will be released next year from the UN. I have 15 colleagues, including myself, so 14 other colleagues working together for writing the draft of this Global Sustainable Development Report called GSDR. And in fact, the first draft was just released and sent for a peer review. So I'd like to share with you here a little bit about what's included in this first draft. Slide, please. So this is the message that was sent in the last version of GSDL, which was released in 2019. So this report is released in every 4 years. And at the time of this release, the General Assembly held the SDGs Summit. So last time the SDGs Summit was held in 2019. And next year, we are going to have another summit. And importantly, that summit will be held back-to-back with the Future Summit. Future Summit is the global summit to be held in the UN next year. So what we are going to discuss here today maybe provide good input into this global summit. But anyway, GSDR focus on different things, but in this version, we focus on transformation. And Sorry, this is written in Japanese, but the graphic below uses English as well. So we discuss the pathways towards transformation. So at the beginning, we have many seeds for transformation. But when it comes to a certain point, then it grows up to spread out towards the society, and implementation is accelerated. We call it at the acceleration stage. And then once it's spread out into the society, then at some point it is stabilized. So the stories that we are going to hear today are something that fit into this what we call S-curve. Some of the actions may be better fitted into the emergent stage, but some of the actions may be good at more acceleration phase. Something may be fit into stabilization phase, but what is necessary is the essence that made those transformations possible, and I'd like to hear those stories, and I'm quite curious and interested to hear those stories today. Looking back to Japan, we also have the process through which we gather the national voices for transformation. What we call is this meeting, this conference is partnership conference. The last one was held at the end of July. The next one will be held in October. We gather the voices from different stakeholders, put them together, and send it to the government. And this is next year we are expecting that the implementation guideline for Japan will be reformed, and we need lots of voices that feed into this reform process. In particular, we are looking for some good ideas for formulating targets for 2030. So if you are listening to this session, and especially young people, including Taichi-san, please provide input into this process. That is very important for changing, transforming the Japanese society. So I stop here, and I also am looking forward to hearing lots of nice voices from around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kanye-san. So please give him a round of applause. Thank you. So now let's go global. So we start from Carita from TESPAC, and she has a great idea creator, but also the motivator. So we're very excited to hear your story. So are you ready, Carita?
Yes, already here.
Okay, awesome. All right, you can start now.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Taichi, Mr. Professor, and everyone from the Nikkei team for organizing this. It's such a pleasure to join you here today. I'm joining from Finland, so happy good afternoon for all of you. I'm just gonna share my screen right now. Give me a second. And it should be. Okay. Okay, there we go. Now we have on the full screen. So perfect. Again, thank you so much, everyone. Such a pleasure to be here today. So my name is Carita Seppa. I'm the co-founder and COO at TESPAC. We are a mobile energy company located here in Finland, where I'm also dialing in right now. I'm also the coordinating ambassador for One Young World. It's the organization that brings together global leaders for all around the world, just as Taichi explained earlier in the beginning of the session. And currently, as a coordinating ambassador, my role for the One Young World also involves the taking care of the Nordics and the Baltics region, and kind of putting our ambassadors together with the wider community as well. A couple of years back, I was also very honored to be awarded as one of the Forbes 30 under 30 for the role and the work that we do with my company. So as mentioned, I come from Finland. You can see here some of the most traditional images from my country. So for those who might not be too familiar with Finland, we are located here in the northern part of Europe. Since I've been basically a little kid, I have understood the importance of having quality education. Finland is very well known around the world as being one of the top countries and world leaders by having some of the best educational systems. Not only having a quality education systems, but it's also free for everyone, regardless of your age, all the way from the elementary school to universities. We provide free education. So being born as part of this system, I have always understood and appreciated the importance of what it means to have access to this high level education, especially when around the world we're still seeing a lack on this. What it means is that there is still a large part of the populations that do not have the same access to education. More than 300 million children alone are not going to school right now. And that is something that made me really realize also when I started with TestBack, is that in order to really see and in order to really to push forward for any development, for the economic development of any countries, for the well-being of any individuals, or overall in order to have the best opportunities in your life, it all goes back to having quality education. And that basically leads me of what I am working on today and what I'm extremely passionate about. And that is basically providing access to education in rural regions by providing access to affordable energy. What my company does is that we basically want to ensure that no matter where you're based, you will be able to access any educational content. You will be able to go and access any courses and workshops by having the opportunity to charge different devices. So this is what TestBack does. We focus on providing access to affordable energy and education in rural regions. One of the key solutions that we found out was that in order to bring these opportunities for people to study and people to go to school in off-grid regions where there are no schools, there is no infrastructure in large part of the world, we need to bring the infrastructure, we need to bring the schools to them. But how can you do that? That's how we created a system. So imagine carrying a smart digital school inside a backpack. As you can see here on this slide, everything fits inside a bag. And with this system, as we call it the smart media system, you can turn any place or room into a fully equipped digital classroom. Today, by providing access to energy, we are enabling organizations like UNICEF, World Vision, Plan International, Save the Children around the world in different parts of remote locations in order to provide different workshops, trainings, and in general provide the opportunity for the most vulnerable living in these rural regions in accessing school. And that is the key part of what we're really focusing on as a company. Although we develop different technology solutions, we have understood that technology is a key enabler in ensuring that we can also reach sustainable development goals and create impact. Here you can see a live image from the field in Ethiopia, where Plan International is educating some local youth in the rural parts of Bahir Dar. What it basically we have seen is that with latest technology solutions, we can now ensure that any content can be accessed in these off-grid regions, and this way we can ensure that everyone could be having the same equal access to quality education. As a company or as an entrepreneur and founder, what I have come to really realize that no matter what we do or what type of company or project you're working on, if you cannot, or if you're not passionate about of what you're doing, you will never be able to reach your full potential, nor can we truly reach the sustainable development goals and create positive impact. And for me, providing and focusing on reaching the SDGs around education and affordable energy, I have been able to find a way by working with our team and with the organizations around the world in creating solutions that not only are creating positive impact, but at the same time, we are also fulfilling or providing the best opportunities for everyone. Once you can have the opportunity to study and educate yourself, basically everything will become possible for you to reach. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carita, for the wonderful presentation. So we will dig into it more about your story and your business later on. So before that, we'd like to move on to the Zubair. So are you ready for the presentation and then share what you do?
Thanks so much, Taichi. Yes, I am ready. It's such a pleasure to be here. And it was such a pleasure to be at the summit, One Young World Summit in Manchester just a few days ago. To get to meet so many incredible, inspiring change makers and the Japanese delegation. So it was really nice to be there. My name is Zubair, and I'm the founder of Z-Notes, which is a global student movement that is fighting educational inequality. You see, as Carita mentioned, education plays such a big part in where we end up in life and the opportunities we access. And this is very true when it comes to high school examinations. I'm sure all over the world, including Japan, you have these very formal high stakes exams, which determine essentially where you can end up. And yet the standardized tests have nothing standard about how much support each student receives. It depends on the teaching quality and the support that a school provides, depending on their own socioeconomic support systems, the fact that certain educational resources may be expensive or inaccessible, or the fact that if you want to go out to get additional support like tutoring or other tools, it's often expensive and unattainable, some of them. And so at the age of 16, this is me, 16-year-old, jumping over a fence. I saw this firsthand. I was doing the international GCSEs as a Pakistani born and raised in Saudi Arabia as an expatriate. I saw firsthand how unequal that playing field was, how some students had access to better resources while others struggled to even get the relevant textbooks. And that wasn't fair. So I did what I could do. I started this small blog to share educational resources. These were revision notes that I'd written for myself, and I'd uploaded this onto a website called Z-Notes, and students from all over the world were discovering it. But something happened which changed the trajectory of my life and what Z-Notes has become. This is what happened. One of the students who was using the platform also reached out to say, Zubair, thank you so much for providing the resources, but also can I help and create content to support other students as well? This was back in 2017. This was the first student contributor on the Z-Notes platform. And today, we've been able to address this challenge of educational inequality by providing free student-built content on our learning platform. And we've had hundreds of students who've contributed to make this happen. We're supporting 7 international exam boards and have almost 130 plus sets of revision notes. And this is combined with a global community of students engaging in peer-to-peer learning support. So this is the power of students teaching each other, whether that is synchronously through live group study sessions or asynchronously through chat. And in total, we've been having 15,000 total members on the server. And thanks to hundreds who have joined this global movement, contributing content and supporting the organization, volunteering tens of thousands of hours, we've been able to reach almost 28 million hits and almost 4 million students and educators from every country on this planet. And it is so heartwarming, as Carita was saying again, it is so powerful. This motivation lies very much in the fact that the value that you're adding is really tangible, the impact you can see. Both the students who are using our platform, like Ahid, who revised and got his best grades and all went off to top universities like Cornell, or the students who are supporting us in the volunteering opportunities like Alexa, who's volunteering and becoming an intern for us and felt like she was the center of meaningful change working with a global team. Almost 90% of our students find Z-Notes highly beneficial to their academic performance. There is a net promoter score of 71, which means that students are referring by themselves to other students, and that's how Z-Notes has grown and expanded. We've not done any marketing for this. And finally, a couple of years ago, One Young World assessed our impact and found this SROI, which is a social return on investment, to be 1 to 28. This means that for every dollar that's invested in what Z-Notes does, it produces $28 worth of impact. And the reflection is that also, although this was designed for students, we've also found thousands of teachers who are using and recommending it as well. Teachers who are using it as reference and aids for teaching lessons, or the ability to cut down costs when buying textbooks can be incredibly expensive for some of them in certain parts of the world. Almost 80% of the teachers are using it regularly in their lessons, and many of them are finding it incredibly beneficial to their work as well. We have had the honor of being recognized by lots of awards in both press and accelerators, including being one of the top 200 companies at early stage ed tech startups in the world by the GSV Cup, one of the top 12 UK ed tech startups in the UK, and one of the 20 teams selected from hundreds in the MIT Solved competition. So we're working towards ending educational inequality for young people everywhere. And it's been such an honor to share my story with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Isabel, for the wonderful presentation. Okay, and Mr. Kanye, by the way, is very interested in what you do. So we will bring you lots of questions later on. So, but we have running out of time. So, Amineto, are you ready? By the way, Amineto is from Mauritania. She is in the earliest time in this world, in this session. So, Amineto, pass it to you.
Thank you, Taichi. Good evening, everyone. I am Amineto Bilal from Mauritania, and I am very happy to be part of this session. I'll share now my screen. Great. So as I said, I am Amineto Bilal, and I am from a country in North and West Africa. As you can see on the map, this is the African map, and Mauritania is located in the red zone. So we are next to Mali, Senegal, and Morocco. So officially, my country is an Islamic Republic, and we are bordered by the Atlantic Ocean to the west, and the Western Sahara to the north and northwest, Algeria in the northeast, and Mali in the east and the southeast, and Senegal in the southeast. Mauritania is the 11th largest country in Africa, and 90% of our territory is situated in the Sahara. Most of our population, we are 4.4 million, and we are roughly 1/3 concentrated in the capital, the largest city, Nouakchott, located on the Atlantic coast. So my leadership journey started in 2013 as a volunteer in NGO called the Renews Climate Movement. And in 2017, I decided to launch a virtual campaign called Self-Invalid in February 2017. So the campaign was on social media. I was taking selfies next to trashes in the street, and I was posting the pictures on Facebook with the hashtag Self-Invalid. And so the aim of the campaign was to sensitize people about the unsanitary conditions, and also about the importance of protecting our environment. So less than a week, the campaign became viral. So everyone was taking also selfies next to trashes in the street. This is some random self-invalid. then I decided to take action with some youth. So I was mobilizing the youth to organize cleanup days, and as you see on the pictures, we have cleaned so many places in Nouakchott. Nouakchott is the capital of Mauritania, and as you see on the picture, and also we organize we organize every year, especially in the environmental, the Africa Environmental Day, or the environmental, on every June on the year we're planting trees to we mobilize some young people to plant trees also to tackle the climate change. And during the COVID, we was organizing some campaign with the youth to sensitize people about the importance of taking care of their health, and also sensitizing people about the danger of the COVID-19. So thank you so much. Arigatou gozaimasu.
Thank you. I mean, that was wonderful, and then I could tell how earlier you are in with the sound. So thank you so much again. So now we'd like to move on to the panel discussion. It says a panel discussion, but it will be the kind of like the dialogue session between Professor Kanye and then 3 young leaders. So, and unfortunately, we have limited time. So probably we have like 6 or 7 minutes for each of them to ask questions. So I'll pass it to you, Mr. Professor Kanye.
Yep. Thank you so much for your wonderful projects and wonderful actions. I think what we need is actions for sustainable development. So I think all 3 examples are great cases to learn. So let me start with providing some questions to Carita. You talked about this device, carrying in your backpack, and support the education in the developing country. But how do you bring those things to Africa? And especially, I'm curious to learn about the cost that are incurred to bring those materials to the developing countries. You talked about some international organizations. Also, perhaps you get some support from a development organization in your country or some other countries. But please elaborate a little more about how you get those support, as well as if there's any other funding sources, please let me know.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Professor Kanye, for the question. As you saw on my slide, so what we have basically done is that inside a backpack, you get power electronics. It's actually a patented battery system that allows you to connect power banks together. So I'm sure every one of you is familiar, probably even carry a power bank to charge your phone. Perhaps you might even be able to charge a laptop. What we did is we found a way where you connect individually different power banks, and you create a large power station, which allows you now to charge not only your phones and laptops, but projectors, speakers, LED lights, even a small refrigerator, all from the backpack source. How this is also very innovative, and how can you take it to Africa or these locations? We all know that there has been major hurdles around logistics and the problems in the transportation industry, a lot due to the COVID, and right now in Europe, we are also been seeing a lot of new hurdles that's been going around this industry. everything we have developed, you can take with you to any commercial flight. And this way, we basically can drastically drop any deployment times, as all our solutions can be taken within moments' notice to any off-grid regions. And that is thanks to the modular battery technology that allows our power charging station to be carried inside any commercial flight. And in regards to your question also of how in terms of the pricing and to compare that to any other solutions, in a lot of countries, for example, in Zambia, where we have several projects with Plan International and now with Save the Children's, to name a few, 70% of the country do not have any access to electricity. So a large part of the population, they live in completely rural places. However, at the same time, it is extremely difficult and even impossible for the government to build the infrastructure, to build the schools, to also build the grid in order to provide access to electricity in these regions, as it can cost more than 100,000 euros just to have an equipped school built in any of these regions. That is very expensive and requires a lot of funding and money. So instead of all that, we found a way where just with 3,000 euros, you can get our back, you get all the projectors, you get all the tools, the electronics, the equipment, where now any teacher or any organization worker like from Plan International, they can carry the bag and they can go to the most rural communities and villages, and they can turn and build a school by just putting the bag in there, as it can educate up to 100 different students. How does it work? You connect your laptop inside the backpack, and in the laptop, you can showcase whatever content you have, videos, presentations, the local curriculums. And this way, basically, the teachers can continue and educate those people that might not have the opportunity to either travel to school, as it can be several kilometers away, or in general, there is just no opportunities to access some of the latest content, as you require electricity to power these sources like tablets and laptops. So this is how we have found a way. Our customers like Plan or even United Nations agencies, they directly purchase our products, as quite a large part of the current projects around these development agencies, they focus on educational projects. So the funding has been directly coming from these sources, as you, Professor Kanye, you were asking. At the same time, we also work with a lot of other international organizations and local governments. For example, here in Finland, we work with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, who as well has been supporting us with a couple of projects in these off-grid regions. So in the end, the sources of funding, they either come directly from our customers, from either development agencies or these different NGOs like United Nations, while at the same time from different local communities and local governments.
Can I ask one more follow-up question? That's quite interesting. Well, several questions came up to my mind, but one of them is how you reach those international organizations. I think that's a question that many people may have. So how do you...
That's a really good question, and honestly, it can be extremely difficult. I'm sure probably, Subari, Aminatu, because you work with these organizations. For example, let's take a look to UNICEF. So UNICEF is one of the largest agencies under the United Nations umbrella, and they specifically focus on supporting children and youth, and education is the key focus of their projects. However, they also work in more than 53 countries, or probably even close to 100 countries, if I'm not mistaken. So how can you really talk to the right person and establish a project? That is extremely difficult. We found a way how to do that. And if I can give any tip or advice to anyone who wants to work with these organizations, is that you need to just find one right person in there. And how can you normally do that? Start from the local regional level. A lot of companies think that you need to go to the procurement head, which is either in New York or here in Copenhagen. But in all honesty, that's not how you can get any project started. It's like winning in a lottery if you can get a global tender through the open procurement that the United Nations have. So instead of how can you get to work with whether it's the UN or any of agencies, we have found a way to get in contact with people that work on the field. So in our end, it was with people, whether it's in Zambia or, for example, in Laos, where we're working. So you directly go to those local regions and you find somebody within the organization that is focused on innovation, technology, and education, or ICT in general. Once you reach the right person, you can start establishing a project, and this way how things start moving. It can be very time consuming. And how can you get to these people? One has been through, in our side, which I deal a lot with our customers, through existing networks and contacts that I have. My background is actually working with the foreign ministry, the embassies. But even if you have no connections existing, the best way, what I have found out, is actually through LinkedIn. Just reach out to people. You will be surprised what they say when you send them a message and briefly say what you're doing and try to establish a communication based on, let's say you read maybe a post that they shared on an article. And even if they say no, it just means that that was not the right person to talk to. So you should not be giving up just because now you think that, oh, wow, now this person, let's say in UNICEF or whatever, they told me that, oh, we're not interested. It doesn't actually mean that the agency is not interested. It just means that maybe that person doesn't deal with these projects. And we've gone through a lot of no's, but in the end, we did find the right people. So all advice I can really give to you, utilize the different methods, and LinkedIn can be such a powerful tool for reaching to people.
Thank you. That's a great answer. I think nobody had thought about reaching out to the local counterpart right from the beginning. So that's, I think, I'm sure, quite a good suggestion for people listening to this session. Shall I?
Yeah, so yeah, we would love to ask more questions, but probably it's a good time to move on to the Zubel. So do you have a...
Yeah, so Zubel's project also is quite interesting. Actually, my students are sending to each other their notes and prepare for their upcoming test. So that's what we see, and that's also what I did when I was a student. I mean, we could learn from my colleagues' notebooks, and that's a good, excellent source of information. But your idea to expand it to outside of the university is, I think, exactly the breakthrough. So how did you come up with this idea of expanding Note to, beyond your school, connecting people, and starting a business? What's the origin of your thought?
Thank you so much, Professor. The honest answer is it was an accident. The model that we've landed on is an emergent model rather than something we set out to build. As you said, sets of notes through time and historically, everyone, whether it's us, our parents, our grandparents, we've all created some form of revision material. And oftentimes, how valuable this is, right? Especially if you have the smartest student in the class, their notes are considered to be the most expensive, most valuable, most coveted piece of resource that you can find. I guess for me, it struck me that I was, able to perform well academically, and my resources and my materials would already benefit the students around me. But the fact is that as I was doing a qualification that is taken internationally, that is taken at such a huge scale, these are standardized testings, it just meant that it would be as applicable for me sitting and studying in a school in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, as it would be for a student sitting in Karachi, Pakistan, as it would be for a student sitting in Morocco, in any part of the world that takes this qualification. So democratizing and making it accessible was just, an obvious path to go down. With the type of opportunity of going from, one student creating content to now hundreds of students, so we have hundreds of contributors now, that actually was just an emergent model, with Abhijit being the first one. But as it's kind of expanded and grown, we have a very well-defined process and set of operational tasks which lead to the development of high quality, concise, targeted, and most effective educational resources. And this has been, again, through trial and error. It's been through high levels of feedback and iterative design thinking when it comes to working with the students, what they found the most beneficial. So now, for example, we have a very robust application process. So students apply to create content with us. We then interview and select only those with the right academic credentials. We work with them to co-create educational resources. We have a continuous moderation process once it's published online in the first instance, but also as in Wikipedia, you have a continuous kind of suggest and edit or suggest a correction type of system. Our content is a living, breathing document, which means that if something does come up incorrectly, it can be amended, it can be improved. Technology provides us with all the tools. This was not, in terms of technologically, there's no kind of nothing hugely innovative about it. It's simply using existing practices and making it, leveraging the tools that we have, the global access that we have, and extending its reach and support. But beyond the resources, I would just highlight that content is one part of what we do. I think the strongest and most important thing is community. Connecting students from any part of the world who are facing similar challenges, but aren't necessarily in the same time zone or in the same city or school. That is what's most powerful, because finding each other and finding that level of relatability, that peer support, that is something that is not possible to do. Even sometimes in your own school, you don't have similar learning traits, you don't have similar personalities. You may not feel comfortable asking questions in a classroom. But if you are doing it in this globally asynchronous, anonymized fashion, you often are more able to make this effective. So that is kind of an emergent model that we landed upon and how we've kind of built it out from there.
Thank you. That's an excellent model. Learning from your peer is the essence of what we are doing in study. As I mentioned earlier, this Global Sustainable Development Report just released for peer review. So we also appreciate the point of view provided by peer. So that's what you applied to the education. That's really an excellent model, and I think it looks like you know how it works in the academic world. So that's great. So I also heard that you are thinking about expanding your business to other countries, possibly including Japan. But in doing so, you might also come across with language barrier. So if you have any idea to overcome those barriers, could you share it with us, please?
Absolutely. That is definitely one of the immediate challenges that we're facing right now, is that if we were to extend the support from our learning platform further into different geographies, the key thing we would need is multi-language support in the content creation, because Zenotes is a kind of bespoke technology. It's something we've built ourselves, and the content management system is something which is very, very kind of intricate, with deep granular permission levels and specific content forms. Moving to another language means not just Google Translate, but actually having people and engineers from that local area to create and develop a content management system which is relevant to them. This is something we will have to kind of, overcome. It's not an impossibility. It's just one of the kind of tasks that need to be completed. The second part of it is that beyond the technological implementation is how do we actually then go about creating the content? And over the last few years, so just for context, I started Xenos when I was 16 years old. And that's now 8 years ago. So it's been a very, very slow, organic, model that we've come across. And though we've been able to, thankfully reach so many people, and the numbers are continuously growing. So for example, in the last 12 months, we reached 1.3 million unique visitors. That number grows, but it's also been a very reactive process. If we were to expand and extend our support in specific geographies, we are very certain that we would need to support the local support to be able to do so. So we would want to partner with a local organization, whether it's an educational charity, a Ministry of Education, or a body which is really keen to support this operation, to help us identify and upskill the relevant students who can support this system. So we do not believe we are the experts in the Japanese education system, or the Finnish education system, or the Mauritanian education system. These aren't things we are able to do. What we believe we are good at is providing the space and ecosystem and technological support to be able to deliver and make effective community-led learning. So we are here to learn from those on the ground. I'm a big advocate for social entrepreneurship, but also social entrepreneurship through a grassroots and community-led initiative. Those who have the lived experiences are the best to then build solutions. We can't go into it thinking that we have all the answers. And I would kind of extend this beyond Xenos to all social entrepreneurial activities, that we must have a very, very open and dialogic approach to when it comes to developing solutions for social problems that we may not have lived experiences for.
So thank you. There are also a couple of international networks of education institutions, as well as sustainable development related research institute, one of them being Sustainable Development Solutions Network, which has branches everywhere in the world. And also here in Japan, we have SDGs in Japan as well. So if you're interested, I can also get you connected with those people, but also Taichi may also be willing to serve one of their connections.
I'm happy to support you, Svea.
Thank you very much. And just to note, STSN is a network we're already part of. We were just finishing their innovation readiness program. So it's a small world. We all come together.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to working with you in the future.
Thank you very much.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Svea. So lastly, let's talk about Aminito's movement. So as you can see, her screen is getting lighter as the morning is coming in. So yeah, if you have a question or a comment, let's start.
Yes. Yeah. Good morning. I also hear your some of the background voices that wakes you up. Well, as I showed you at the beginning, in the transformation, one of the most difficult part is to scale it up. But your project has done it successfully, using selfie. So that's quite impressive. But usually it's also quite difficult to expand the actions, to so many people in your country or beyond your country, just using selfie. So what's the secret that you were so successful in doing so?
Thank you, Professor. Basically, I was inspired by another activist from another country in Guinea-Conakry. It's in Africa also. And she launched the similar campaign with another name. So I changed the name to contextualize it on our reality in the country. So if you see selfie is selfie, and the word mbalit means waste in our local languages here in Mauritania. That's why the secret of the campaign of being successful is that it's related on real problem. People are suffering from the unsanitary condition, and they are aware that the streets are not clean, and people, most of them doesn't respect the environment. So it relates to them. That's why the campaign has succeeded. And also the government also has taken some some actions since the campaign. They reduced some contract from the enterprise who manage the waste in the country, and they started to revise their strategy on waste management. And I think this is the secret is that it's related to the reality of the people. It's on their on their situation. That's why the campaign has succeeded, because it's a real problem. It's not just a problem. It is not just something I wanted to do. I did I launched this campaign because it was on a real problem, like Carita initiative, and also like Zubair initiative. It's on real problem. That's why the campaign has succeeded. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you, Amineto. So, yes, it's been a great session, and then I'm really grateful having those of you, three of you, as a dreamer. But unfortunately, we're running out of time already, and we have only 5 minutes more. So as a last comment, I like to have all of you to give a message to the audience. Today, we have more than 1,000 viewers, and from different sectors, like school and business industry, all of them. So. Would you guys give a last comment to the audience? So maybe could we start from the dreamers? Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Carita, would you give us a comment, like last message?
Oh, perfect, Taichi. Thank you. And thank you for everyone for having us here today. As just a last, I would say a comment or advice that I can give is that don't give up. I'm sure you have heard that before, but let me elaborate a little bit more. What I earlier said about reaching out to people. If you really want to achieve something, whether it's to make your project successful, whether it's trying to get customers, funding, whatever it is, don't give up after you hear the first no, even if it's in the same organization. That just means it's the wrong person to talk to. Don't let that put you down and think that, oh, now my project is never going to make it and this organization doesn't want to work with me. Just to give you an idea, before we found one of the largest customers within the UN, I had to reach out to more than 30 different people within the organization. Every one of them thought that, oh, we don't need that type of solutions. The problem with those people who said no was that they had never been in Africa or in certain parts of Asia. They actually had no idea what happened on the ground. They were sitting in headquarters here in Europe. So it just means that it was just the wrong person. So don't give up, continue doing your best, and take every single no that you hear, just another reason for you to continue pushing more forward for the yes, because trust me, it will come after the 100th or the 1,000th times, but it will come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was powerful. Thank you so much. So pass it to Zubair next.
Thank you, Karita. I feel like I want to start running outside right now because you've just made me so motivated. I think just to follow up with what Karita said is that alongside taking those no's and strengthening yourself against them, I can assure you the number of rejections that I've gotten are much, much more than all the yeses. You see only a very kind of polished side of when I present what Xenotes has achieved today. My piece of advice or my kind of counsel or, experiences I can share is that you have to start now. It's very easy to come up with excuses to say this needs funding or support or people or network. There's 1,001 things you can say to kind of push something away, to say that it's not possible to do right now. And I would tell you and advise you to just start it now. I think we're living in a time and age where starting an initiative, whether that's a startup or a project, a volunteer organization, a community, a cooperative, whatever vehicle it looks like to make an impact, you can start it now. Technology provides you the platform to reach a global audience. You have tools like no-code tools, you have free systems and platforms. You have literally everything at the tip of your fingers. Building something is no longer, you can not have an excuse for it anymore. When I started Xenotes, it was for free, using a WordPress.com website. And as it's grown, we've not raised any investment. We've bootstrapped it to get to this point. And it's taken a long time. It's a lot of hard work, but it is possible. So I would really encourage you, if you have an idea, if you have something you want to go for, yes, you may have a bold and incredible vision of some very fancy Web3 application or whatever, and it will come. But right now, you can start something, you can set it up, you can get going, you can start making an impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Zubair. Thank you so much. Right. So lastly, Amineto.
Yes, I would like to say that you have to act locally and think globally, and be passionate. Be passionate. If you are not passionate about what you're doing, you will not overcome the challenges, because there are challenges. There will be always challenges in everything you do. So this is my message to all the people who are listening to us right now. Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the inspirational comments, three of you. So that's all about today's session. Would you have a last comment for the audience?
Yeah, now we have heard great dreams, three great dreams, three great actions, and I think it's now our action side, our side to take actions. And I think many people listening to this session is not necessarily young, but dreams are not just for young people, but also for our age. So let's have dreams together. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So that's all about today's session. Thank you everyone for watching, and thank you Nikkei for hosting this event, even though it was a first ever English session. So it was quite challenging, but thank you so much. So that's all about the session. Thank you.
ありがとうございます。With thanks to the speakers online. Thank you so much. そしてカニエ様、市川様、ありがとうございました。大変有意義なセッションでございました。